Ricmotech GT Challenge, broadcasted Mondays live on Apex Racing TV. Visit ExtremeMotorsports99.com for series and schedule details. Broadcast coverage next.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Apex Racing TV, and welcome to the World Centre of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway, for round one of Season 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech GT Challenge. The series sponsored by, of course, Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment. Well, welcome to Daytona International Speedway. The floodlights are on. It is a pretty mild 21 degrees Celsius, and we've got a 75-minute night race coming up ahead of us. Before that, we've got the 15-minute lone qualifying session, the Performer Texas Elite Graphics qualifying session. And before all that, of course, we've got the track guide as well. So we'll get to that in a moment. But first, welcome inside the booth. Adam Bath here, billing in for whoever else is meant to be doing this. It's usually Johnny Simon, I think, on a Monday night. But of course, Tyler Maxton is here as well. And Tyler, the start of a brand new season here in the Ricmotech GT Challenge. We've got a few changes, which we'll bring to you once we've done the track guide. But Daytona is the best place to start, and I think we're looking forward to the action that we've got coming up ahead of us.
Yeah, we certainly are going to have some amazing action up ahead of us today. And a lot of these drivers will have been preparing for the 24 hours of Daytona, which means they will be very well practiced up on the Daytona circuit, which means we should see some incredible racing here tonight from all the drivers because they are just oh so familiar with this Daytona International circuit. Yeah,
I did see a few people racing at this track the other day. I don't know whether there was there a Raw before the 24 event on iRacing before the other day or something like that?
There was a lot of hosted ones, even one done by Apex Racing League, but there wasn't anything done officially. But I know a lot of these drivers still did compete in those hosted sessions done by a lot of the members.
Well, it is a pretty tough track, and we're going to have a look at it now in greater detail. Here is the track guide, and once we've got this out of the way, of course, we'll be bringing you the Performer Texas Elite Graphics qualifying session. So let's have a look at what it takes to get around this road course here at Daytona International Speedway.
Welcome, everyone, to Daytona International Speedway here in beautiful, sunny Daytona Beach, Florida. Great to have you with us as we provide your track guide today around this 3.56-mile road course. We will start our guide today from the beautiful 31-degree banking here at Daytona. That's right, the World Center of Racing, where speed and agility and endurance is what it's all about. Coming out of the NASCAR Turn 4 or Turn 12 of the road course, we're going to pick up some speed heading down to that stripe here at Daytona as we cross the starting line and head down into Turn 1. Boy, this is a busy corner. Heavy on the brakes here, down through the gears. With traffic, this corner can be very difficult. You want to get a good launch up off this turn here as it takes you into Turn 2. Very slight little S section, and then down into Turn 3 here, the infamous International Horseshoe here at Daytona. Tight apex corner. Want to get right out to the outside there to get a good launch, get some speed up through this very fast internal section of the road course, around Turn 4 here, and ultimately down into Turn 5. Heavy braking here, late apexing corner, let that car rotate, get right back to the bottom, and track it right out to the outside. This will bring us to Turn 6 here. This will bring us right back up to the banking as we come down off the brakes and get right back to throttle. Very difficult there, off camber and very slippery. Tough turn to get that traction to bite as we come back up onto the 31-degree banking through Turn 7. Of course, this section right here is the best opportunity for overtaking your competitors, as there is an enormous amount of slipstream here at Daytona. And coming down into the bus stop, you'll see a lot of changes in position happening here. Down through the gears, smooth entry into 8, through 9, through 10, out of 11, and then ultimately up the banking into Turn 12 as we pick up speed once again to head down that very fast front straightaway. boy, you'll see a lot of overtaking happening here at the ends of, at the end of a race, certainly for that finishing lap, as this is where it all takes place. Drivers 2, 3, 4 wide sometimes, trying to take that victory and walk away with a win from the World Center of Racing. Thanks so much for being with us. There's your track guide for Daytona International Speedway.
Thanks as always to the guys at Ricmotech for providing us with that track guide, and it is one of the most famous road course circuits in the business here. Of course, it's the month of January, so that means it is the Daytona 24 Hours that'll be taking place at the end of the month. But of course, all eyes are on this round one of the Ricmotech GT Challenge. Qualifying is underway. The drivers have 4 laps to set a time. It is a lone qualifying session, so they don't have to worry about too much traffic out there. They will be having to worry about that when we get the race underway, potentially. If you're new to this series, it is made up of 2 classes, GTD and GTLM, and there are a few changes in that for this season. The BMW Z4 or Z4, depending on where you're from, makes a return or makes an appearance in this series. There is one of the BMWs. That's Bobby Childs in the D2DE sports car. The BMW is replacing the Ferrari 488 for this season, and just when you thought that the BMW Z4 was heading towards retirement on iRacing, it's come back to the forefront. Of course, it's used in the IMSA Sports Car Series as well. That's one of the official series, and we get to see it here in the Ricmotech as well. That's among a few other changes this season. William Laster has moved from Porsche to the 4GT. Ryan Reeves now finds himself in the 4GT, as well as GTD past champion Ian Gagnon Renault moves top GTLM and will be driving the 4GT as well. But the big news is though, is that Rob Hartley and teammate Travis Schwenke are moving to the BMW M8 to compete for the championship this season alongside Aeronom, who has decided to stay with the Ferrari 488. And a few of those big names are cycling through your screen now. You've got the new paint jobs as well. Just one other thing, the young superstar Elvis Rankin has moved his alliance to the Ferrari 488 from the Porsche of last season. So he's switched from German to Italian. And the runner-up from the GTD Championship from last season, Brendan Missler, has now moved to the GTLM class as well. He'll be driving the BMW 8, but BMW M8. But yeah, those changes, Tyler, it means that we've got the BMW M8 and the Z4 as well, which is good for us BMW fans anyway.
Yeah, it's very, very cool to see. We saw a decent presence of the BMW last season, but it's so great also to see a presence of the Ford come out in the series. We didn't see anybody running that the season previous to this one, and now that we have nearly, I think, 5 or 6 cars out there running tonight, it is a very nice showing indeed. And like you said, I mean, having the BMW come to the GTD class, it's a very awesome little addition for it. In that class as well. It's not really many of them. I think there's actually only 2 running tonight, but it's still cool to see 2 out there nonetheless. It's still pretty much an all Mercedes-dominated GTD field, and then mainly in your GTLMs, it's mainly dominated by the Ferraris, but it's still cool to see a little bit of other manufacturers getting in the action here in the Ricmotech GT Challenge.
Well, the driver that they're all catching is Aeronom. He was the champion again last season. It's been a while since I did this series, and when I left, he was at the top, and he's still there now. He won the title by 31 points in the end over Mike Dam, and it looks like he's going from strength to strength here in the qualifying session for the first race of this season. He's currently on provisional pole with a time of 140.44. That is just over a tenth of a second ahead of the next quickest driver, the F4H Racing Ford of Ian Gagnon Renault. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And just a little bit of background on Aeronom for you if you're not too familiar of him. He is the defending GTLM champion from Season 1. Of course, this is the start of Season 2. He's been a league member now since November 2017. He was undefeated as a Mustang driver back then. He lives in Estonia, 7 years on the iRacing service, which is 1 year more than than yours truly here. So a big veteran of it, and he's proving whatever he's driving, Tyler, that he's pretty quick. Whatever he's behind the wheel of, he was quick in the Mustang, and now here he is driving in the Ferrari. And if you look at the manufacturers there, there's not too many Ferraris in the top 10, but he's doing a good job at the moment, and he's currently leading the pack with qualifying coming to a close here.
Yeah, I mean, he is really, really strong. Like you said, he's undefeated in the Mustangs on the side of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. He is now technically the undefeated champion thus far in the Ricmotech GT Challenge as well. So coming back as the returning champion. And, yeah, like you said, he's just so strong at whatever car he gets into. And he proved that coming into the GT Challenge season here on Apex Racing TV. I mean, he just absolutely dominated that last season, nearly won it by an entire race. He was only 4 points off getting that entire race gap to his nearest rival. So it really just shows how strong Aeronam really is.
One change that we mentioned there is Rob Hartley and Travis Schwenke are moving to the BMW M8, and looking at where they are in the qualifying standings at the moment, Schwenke's in 5th, Hartley in 7th. Two veterans of the series. They've Hartley's been in it since 2016 from South Carolina, and Travis Schwenke's been in it even longer. He's been in here since 2015. They're quite an established pair, and they are one of the two drivers responsible for trying to clip Aeronam's wings, as it were, and try and challenge him for the title.
Yeah, they certainly are indeed. And one thing I think that Aeronam needs to keep in mind, he's got two F4H Racing teammates behind him. With Ian Gagon Renault moving up to the GTLM class, he's obviously showing that he's strong after putting in a second-place qualifying run for him. Actually just over a tenth of a second, off of Aeronam. And so I think that he's going to be a challenge to Aero this season. I mean, he's got his teammate William Laster right behind him to back him up. And I think that those two could be a pretty dominant pair if they can work together and they can really get ahead of Aero. Then they could possibly work strategy to maybe fluster him and make him make an unforced strategy call that he really wouldn't have to if he was out in the lead.
It's a good thing you mentioned strategy, because we can now run you through how it is going to work. There is a mandatory pit stop in this race, and the organisers, the ever so brilliant organisers of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, they're very thorough. They have limited the fuel tanks to 88% for the GTDs. Those are your GT3 cars, basically, your Mercedes, your Ferraris, and your Audis. And then 85% for the GTLM. Those are the Ferraris, the Porsches, and the BMWs as well. So they have been limited, and it means that the drivers will be forced into making a stop. It is a 75-minute race, so there will be a little bit of leeway with the strategy, I think, and we will try and keep up with it all throughout the course of the evening. There are virtual safety cars as well, so if there is an incident that takes place on the infield or maybe on the banking, then the live race stewards will bring out the virtual safety car. It probably saves a bit of time compared to bringing out the full one, and they'll be in communication with the drivers and letting them know when we're going to go green. And all restarts will be single file as well, so we won't have too much craziness when the race organisers throw the green flag again. But yeah, the strategy is going to be another thing that we're going to have to watch out for. And yeah, you did mention it there with Aeronam at the front. He's not often undone with the strategy, but with it being a 75-minute race, with it being the first race of a new season, the drivers may be a little bit rusty as we are now going down to the grid, and we can run you through it, I believe. So Aeronam is starting on the pole for this one, the first race of Season 2 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Ian Gagnon Renault starting in second. There we go, it's on the screen. William Laster starting in third, then Mike Dam, the Canadian, for Crypto G Racing Orange, starting in fourth. He was Aeronam's nearest challenger last season, the man from Canada. 6 years on iRacing now. He's been a league member since May 2016. Travis Schwenke, there he is in 5th place in the BMW. And then in 6th is Humberto Roca. Then in 7th, Rob Hartley, his Schwenke's teammate. And Miguel Antonio Al Crudo starting in 8th. 9th for Caden Bean, and 10th for Brian Cartier there in the Phoenix Racing BMW. 11th on the grid is Angel Ledesma, and then 12th Elvis Rankin, the youngster. Mentioned him, he is moved to the Ferrari from the Porsche. 13th on the grid is Miguel Al Crudo in the Delta Motorsports car, and then 14th on the grid, another Canadian, David Payton, driving for D2D Esports. D2D, easy for me to say, has 7 drivers on the grid this season. And it's Nathan Manning, Michael Schlegel-Mitch in the Stantera Simsport car starting in 16th, and Lyndall McMurphy 17th, Ryan Reeves in 18th in the Ford, George Racing starting in 19th, completing the top 20. We have Ski DeLeo, 21st Chris Torment, 22nd Russ Ruddock in the Flying Motorsports car, 23rd on the grid in the Beamer is Rafael Sosa, and then Marco Calabi in 24th, and Kevin Ford, there he is, one of the race organisers, starting in 25th. And then we move on to the next class, Tyler, and it's Brandon Mitzler starting in P1 there in the F4H racing car.
Yes, it is indeed. If I can just seem to find it here. Yes, Brandon Misler will start on the pole in that class. And I think we're having a bit of timing overlay there, glitch there. So it is Dennis Slavrik who will start at a second. Esteban Rodriguez out of third. Tyler Gonmente in fourth. Tyler Shiflett in fifth. And then we'll let the rest of the grid play through for you now. And yeah, Adam, we have an action-packed 75 minutes of racing here tonight. Drivers are going to be battling it out hardcore around this Daytona International Raceway, and I cannot wait to see the season opener get kicked off.
Neither can I. Here we go then. Not too long to go until we get going. I think I've literally just iRacing's just crashed on me, so you might have to take us through the start, Tyler, while we get ready to go.
And as we wait for the lights to go out, the field is in the hands of Aero Nom. We wait for him to gun it, and he does now. The season is underway here for the Ricmotech GT Challenge. Aero Nom gets a wonderful start, and the whole inside row does as well. Ian Gag under nose going to immediately get dropped down to third. We're 3 wide in the background, nearly 4 wide in the background there. There's a one car on its roof, and I think that is Caden Bin around, so that's one of your major championship competitors. Round already here in turn number 1.
Well, not the start that Henny would have wanted there. We're now looking at the next class getting ready to go. It's Mitzler starting on the pole there in the F4H racing car, and they're going to be going into the first corner any moment now.
And now down into turn number 1. It will be Brandon Misler. He still leads your field out. They're all going to go single. They're all going to pretty much go through here cleanly now this time. No one really having any sort of incidents. Down and towards turn number 2, though, they're going to still stay 2 by 2, a few back, but mostly everyone's going to get through there clean. No one having any sort of major issues off the start in your GTD field.
Good start from Aero Nom, though, the reigning champion, leading from the front. Is Laster in second, but then Gaglan Renault in third, down fourth. Schwenke and Hartley, the 2 new teammates, in 5th and 6th as well. And then the top 10 rounded up by Ledesma, Roca, Al Crudo, and the 2 Al Crudos. And you can see from the intervals there, everybody's so close in the early exchanges. Just a couple of attempts between each car.
Yeah, there really is nothing between them here thus far. They're all staying pretty much in a single file after that first start. There wasn't too much controversy after that, but that initial start was definitely something we're going to have to go take a look at once again. We'll get a replay up for you here soon, but for right now, we're going to stay live as we're going to go side by side with this looks like Georgie Fike and Raymond Gonzalez. Gonzalez is down the inside, Fike on the outside, and it looks like they're still going to actually go side by side. We got one car spun around on the inside. That's Lyndall McMurphy, and he is stuck there for a few more seconds. He's still not moving. So maybe some problems there for Lyndall McMurphy. Now he gets moving once again.
Yeah, not what Lindell would have wanted. The man from Oklahoma. It's his first season in the GT Challenge as well, and that's not what he would have wanted at all to get things underway as we now look at Travis Schwenke in the Excite Energy Asprey Motorsports car, number 16, the BMW, doing well so far. He's the highest beamer in the field, and he's currently 0.2 of a second away from Mike Dam.
So the two teammates decently close. Mike Dam decently close to the back of Ian Gagon Renault. The draft is certainly helping everyone out here today with being able to get in the draft, especially for those 4 GTs. This is the biggest thing that I want to point out here. The 4 GT is an incredibly fast car through the infield, but it just doesn't quite have the straightaway speed that the Ferrari does. So it's pretty much crucial for the 4 GT to be in a draft and not be the one out front leading. But whenever it's in a draft, you can see here, as we will ride on board with Ian Gagon Renault down and towards turn number 1, it's actually really not that bad.
Yeah, the slipstream around here is going to be quite a big equaliser, especially for the BMW Z4, which is making its debut in this series as well. That's going to be mighty through some of the slow speed stuff in the infield section, but it's going to be pretty dependent on the draft once it gets onto the banking through NASCAR turn 2 and then through turn 3 and 4 to end the lap as well. As we're looking here at William Laster, who's just 0.3 of a second away from Aero Norman. The reigning champion is going to have to work for the victory today, because the slipstream is going to mean that everybody else, unless he starts putting in some blistering lap times there, he's going to be right with the rest of the pack.
Yeah, he certainly is indeed. I mean, we'll just have to kind of see really how everything develops with this. I think that this is going to be one of those races that you really can't pull away. Even if you have the raw speed over your competitors, you really just won't be able to get away. I mean, you can just watch the interval there. It was at about 5.5 tenths as an incident involving car 62 is under review there from race control. You can see it at the bottom. But back to the intervals here. Aero Nom went onto the straightaway with a half-second advantage. He went into the bus stop chicane with a 3.5 tenths of a second advantage. So he really doesn't gain anything by being super fast through the infield section.
You are right. It is great to see that the Ford is being able to try and keep up with the Ferrari, and he's got his teammate right behind him in Gagnon Renault, as I can finally see what we're looking at now as we come onto the front straight. And the Ferrari could potentially be engulfed, but so far in the early stages, no one's been able to get an overtake done on Aero Nom, who is defending admirably so far. As we're looking at a scrap here, here is the 93 Porsche of Mike Dam. He's trying to separate the two F4H Fords. Is he going to try and look at the inside into the hairpin? The race organisers did warn the drivers about this area of the circuit on the opening lap, and we did see a few crashes in this part of the circuit on that one. But for now, everybody all still relatively well behaved, as there is too wide there for Porsche versus Ferrari. This is Al Crudo there in the Ferrari versus Rocker, I think, as we now cut back to the fight for the lead in the GTD class.
So Brandon Misler all over the back of Dennis Savrick there in the band of others racing Mercedes. These two have kind of broken the tradition of Daytona. They have got currently a 3.6 second advantage over Brandon Whitworth in the D2D Esports Mercedes. And then we have the first of the Audis with Caleb Lavender and the Team NIN, or really it's Team 9 is the way I read that, but they have quite the advantage here over them, and they're continuing to grow that. So maybe we see a little bit of difference here in the GTLM class. It was previously dominated by Ian Gagon Renault. Does this a sign of things to come here for the GTLMs being maybe dominated by Brandon Misler and Dennis Savrick?
Well, Brandon Misler, he's only been on the iRacing service for 2 years, but he joined the league last year and ran in the GTD class where he finished second. And here he is trying to take the GTD lead away from Dennis Savritek here in the band of others racing. Let's see if he can get it done into the bus stop chicane. Just not close enough just yet, but he's within striking distance, and if he can get a good exit out of the bus stop chicane, you might fancy his chances. Let's look at this, a change for the lead overall. It's William Laster in the F4H racing car. The Ford has finally managed to get past the Ferrari as the two manufacturers renew the duel that was put into a movie a couple of months ago as they go through the infield here on lap 5.
Yeah, this was, I just absolutely love the whole story of Ford versus Ferrari. I mean, we bring it back here on the Ricmotech GT Challenge. Aeronama kind of having to go defensive here, I think, from Ian Gagnon or no. When one teammate pounces, the other one usually is short to follow. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ian tries to get up with his teammate to try to create at least one car buffer between his team, between Aeronam and that race lead.
Well, yeah, it is strength in numbers for F4H Racing. They've got 2 of their cars inside the top 5. Nobody else has got that. Aeronom is a bit of a solo effort, really, for him with Team Bushvink in at least the top class anyway, really. And then you've got Mike Dam in the Crypto-G Racing Orange. And then 5th place Travis Fenk in the XI Racing Asprey Motorsports team. So right now, F4H might try and help each other out a little bit. Here are 2 teammates. It looks like, anyway, from the paints I've got, it's Miguel Alcrudo and just in front of him in 9th, Humberto Roca. So these 2 might help each other out a little bit here, both racing for Porsche. And Porsche, Tyler, is that probably one of the all-round packages, really? Good in a straight line and good in the infield as well, potentially?
I think that it became a lot more difficult to run a Porsche in this last season. With the new changes to the iRacing BOP, it's become a lot less strong than it was in the past. And really, if you're not in a Ferrari or BMW, you will not be the fastest down the straightaways. And even then, the Porsche is just overall not the car that it was a couple seasons ago. Now after these BOP changes, and neither honestly is the Ford either, but if you can really drive the Ford through the infield, and then you are able to benefit from the draft down the straightaway, it can be quite a strong car, but you pretty much have to have the perfect all-around scenario to make that car super, super quick.
Well, I wonder what they've got up their sleeve then, because as things stand, it is the Ford and Ferrari that is currently reigning supreme. The highest Porsche in the field is Mike Dam, so he's obviously got something up his sleeve, and he obviously has a good setup underneath him because he is putting the top 3 under pressure. But as we get around to complete the first 10 minutes of the race, it is William Laster that leads, 2 places gained, and he is currently leading the way with Aeronom in second for Team Bushvink Racing. I'm sure they're not worried too much at this moment in time about positions, but it looks like F4H are trying to get a 1-2 here as Ian Gagnon Renault looks up the inside into the bus stop chicane. No way through there. A little bit of a wiggle on the exit by the American car 31, William Laster. He's finished 4th in the GTLM in Season 1. He returned to the league this season after running the Porsche last season. Has now switched to the Ford. And right now he's currently there. Right, looking here at Nathan Manning in the Graphite Racing car. He's got Brian Cartier behind him, and he's got David Payton in front, and it looks like he's going to be losing a couple of places, potentially a slowdown on the exit of the bus stop chicane, or maybe made a mistake. Not too sure, but either way, he's lost 2 places there, and there you go. There's the rolling from race control. Car 62, incident responsibility, and post-race penalty for him there.
Yeah, so very unfortunate there for the 62 car. I'm actually just trying to figure out exactly who that was. That was Lyndon McMurphy then. So I'm not quite sure what happened with him. But I think that this is about as good a time as ever. As soon as I say that, though, there's going to be a huge crash and everything's going to go up in flames here. But let's go check out that original start here with Caden Bien. So let's see what happened to him. He was one of the drivers who ended up on their roofs. Oh, this is just a case of 3 wide. Over the top of the Delta Racing car he goes, and he'll end up in the catch fence.
Dear. Yeah, not the start they would have wanted at all to the season. It is a campaign that stretches over 8 race meetings here at Daytona, then Suzuka, COTA, then the Le Mans 24-hour circuit in mid-March, then Road Atlanta, Silverstone, the new one, Barcelona in Spain in early June, and then we end the campaign mid-June, Watkins Glen for 90 minutes around the famous circuit in New York. So that's the calendar for you. We're looking forward to bringing you all the action. There is Chad Parker with a lot of smoke coming from his Mercedes. He's in the pits.
So we're just trying to see what happened here. Oh, he just loses it straight up into the barrier, and he actually gets into one of the F4H cars as well. That's Esteban Rodriguez then. So those 2 drivers having a bit of issues here. And as they just drop down the order, I just try to get them. But wow, that was 2 very unfortunate incidents. Rodriguez nowhere to go, and pretty much straight into the side then of Chad Parker. So two very unfortunate incidents that take two drivers out of this race.
Back here with the GTLM fight for the lead. They have really broke away from the rest of the field. It's almost like these guys are doing pack racing in stock cars, and the GT and the GTDs are doing the tandem racing or whatever, because those top two, Savratech and Misler, pull away from the rest of them. But here we go, back onto the banking with the overall leaders, and you can see it is Aeronom that is back at the front. William Laster did lead for 1 or 2 laps at most, and now the F4H Racing Ford is back down in P2. He does have his teammates riding shotgun in third, Ian Gagnon Renault in the other F4H Racing Ford. And just when it looked like that Laster had lost the lead, he's trying to apply the pressure once again. And I wonder if these guys are just taking turns out of the front, maybe getting a bit of clear air, maybe cooling the temperatures down potentially, Tyler, and then letting Aeronom resume his place at the front. Of course, you do get bonus points for leading a lap too.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that William Laster was trying to do there with going out to the lead, and he's going to do it once again. Look at the run the Ford has, and he's trying it round the outside. It's a difficult way to go all the way around to turn number 1, but he will do it nicely. Easily done then for William Laster. But like you said, getting that bonus point, that could prove to be crucial. We've seen championships, especially in the sports car series, be won by just 1 or 2 points. So having that extra bonus point can be very, very crucial, but you can only get a certain amount of them during the entire season.
You're right, yeah, we may as well talk about it. You earn 1 bonus point for starting on pole in your class. Oh, problem for Geordie Fike in the Phoenix racing car. Let's have a look at a replay and find out what happened to the Beamer here. Car 09 drives for Phoenix Racing. Into the first corner he goes, takes a wide line, but that is not something you often see. The BMW is often so stable, but he put the power down there and it just completely went around on him. A half spin there for him, and he gets going again, Geordie Fike. Hopefully that's not done too much damage to him. It didn't look like he hit anything, and he's been able to continue. Just trying to find out a bit of info for you on Geordie Fike as we look again with our top 3 overall. Going into the bus stop chicane. Geordie Fike, league member since season 2, June 2015, 8 years, lives in North Carolina. And look at this. This is Michael Schlegel-Mitch going into the bus stop chicane. Stantera Sim Sport. He's got Brian Cartier in front of him, and he's had a good start to the race as the 944 car. And look at this, flying formation, F4H Racing. Aeronom was passed at this exact moment a lap ago for the race lead, and he's now down to P3. And this could be a race-defining moment, because if F4H have got a 1-2 as they now have, they could potentially dictate things at the front.
Yeah, they certainly can. And I mean, one of the things, if you just look, that's the benefit of having a teammate. When you watch that, whenever Ian Gagnon Renault made that move, William Laster moved up the racetrack to help him with the slipstream, get the draft, and pull him closer to the front, whereas Aeronom did not have that advantage. So that could be also one of those just little things that having a second driver in the field can really be a help to you, especially whenever you have someone like your teammate that you can really, really trust to work well with you.
Look at here, Brian Cartier. He has got Schlegel-Mitch, we were talking about him earlier. He's got Humberto Rocco as well for company. 3 different manufacturers duking it out here. BMW versus Porsche versus Ford. German versus America there. And back onto the banking they go, and Brian Cartier in the 63 car is doing pretty well here in the early going as we cut back to the fights for 9th. This is David Payton in the D2D esports car. Then behind him, the youngster Elvis Rankin.
Can we just get a moment, though, to also look here at the F4H domination so far in this race? But we got to jump back here to your race lead, because Ian Gagnon Renault is going to take it here for this time by. He will lead And I wonder if that was strategy then, so that they can both pick up a bonus point here in round number 1. They will both let a lap, so that will be a bonus point for each of them. That could also be one of the other things that you can work on. You can work the draft here and gain so much time in doing so, and you can also do the little things like making sure each one of your teammates gets a bonus point. This is why having a teammate in the field can be so crucial. And this is why being like a one-car entry like you see with Aeronom, Mike Dam, and some of these other drivers, that's why it can be so much more difficult for them to be able to come away with race wins.
Pays to be quick, and it also pays to be clean as well. You also earn a bonus point if you stay clean during the race and you have incidents less than 6. Drivers can only earn up to 9 bonus points a season, as you mentioned, Tyler, earlier. Mike Dam, I've been away from this series for a while, but it looks like the internet connection, little issues he has still remain. He is still in 4th place, though, and here come the leaders again. Gagnon, Renault, and William Laster. It looked like the F4H racing car sat in 2nd was trying to get the lead back, but wait and see what they do onto the banking this time. They've also got to orchestrate it so that Aeronom doesn't gate crash their current 1-2 party here. We're already over a quarter of an hour through this one. Aeronom needs to watch out because Mike Dam is right behind him as well, and he's gaining on the Ferrari too. Aeronom's got a perfect view, hasn't he, Tyler, of them orchestrating another change in position as William Laster goes back into the lead.
Yeah, he certainly does that time, and they're all going to go through there. Aeronom is actually going to have to defend here just a little bit from Mike Dam, so these guys are really getting a bit all over the place here. Everyone's getting a bit more impatient towards this middle portion of the race. Everyone wants to make up a position, but right now, I mean, keep in mind, we're only 19 minutes into this. They've still got a lot of racing left to do, and that's one of the things that the draft will really do here, is it will force some of these drivers some of the time, even if they don't want to make a move, to have to, because they have such a big run. They'd almost have to hit the brakes if they didn't want to go by.
What a start to the season this is. We've got about a front train of about seven or 8 cars in the early going, and we've got a car in the pits. This is Kevin Ford, not at all what the league admin and founder and lead admin of the league would have wanted. Here is a replay of 32 car going into the bus stop chicane. Is something going to befall him here? Oh no! Oh dear me. The car just would not turn left on the exit of the bus stop chicane, and poor Kevin is off into the concrete wall on the exit of the bus stop chicane. The man from Oklahoma, he's been involved in sim racing since 2003. Apparently his wife is even more awesome. That's what the driver roster info says. Hello to Kevin's wife if you're watching. As here is Lowski Dolio going into the bus stop chicane. The Ferrari there looks like just got up the inside of Chris Torman in the D2D Esports car. And I think we might even have another change for the lead. Yes, we do. They're doing this for fun now, I think, Tyler, going into the first corner.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those things that they can work every single time. If they can just continuously rotate who's in the lead, then that creates just more challenges for Aeronom, because these drivers, you know, they're not going to be strong and weak at the same portions of the racetrack. So it's not like when you're Aeronom, some of the time we see him do this where he just kind of sits back, notices weak points of the different drivers. It's hard to do that if you can't have them in a solid position every single time where they're right in front of you. When you've got a driver that constantly changes positions, you've almost got to, it takes a lot more time to pick up where they're strong and where they're weak at than if you were following them a lot. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, for Aeronom to get back up through the field if he has to continuously study his other competitors.
Isn't there an element of risk, though, for the two teammates at the front? They could keep doing this lap after lap, and then all of a sudden something happens and they could potentially end up taking each other out. Or do you reckon these guys are experienced pros where that shouldn't happen? Touch wood.
I think that this is one of those things where this team is so strong in this series, and they've showed that in the past. And these two drivers are definitely two very experienced drivers. I mean, these guys are very used to close, tight quarters racing. I just don't see them really making contact as an accident. I think if they're making contact, it's most likely on purpose, or there's some sort of net code involved. But this could be the other risk factor here. If Aeronom can get to the inside, like he may be doing right now, it could be a bit of a challenge, but he still has to stick to the inside, and the driver on the inside, which was William Laster, just had to check up a little bit more than he would have wanted to, I would say.
Yeah, I was just about to say they got that down to a fine art. I thought we were going to see William Laster sweep round the outside into the first corner and take the lead off his teammate, but instead they pincered Aeronom down to the inside into the first corner, and there was nowhere the Ferrari could go, and then it just invited pressure from this guy Mike Dam in fourth place. They're doing a great job of bunching the field up. The only downside of that is it does invite pressure on the Fords, but when there's two teammates at the front, they can pretty much control things behind them and invite more pressure on Aeronom, who's currently sat in third place after starting on the pole. Here is Denis Savratek, who sat in second place in the GTDs. He is half a second away from the leader of the class, who is Brendan Misler. Tyler mentioned it, we've got F4H racing cars in the front, 2 places in the top class. And here we are in the GTDs with F4H also leading the way. And through the bus stop chicane they go again, and onto the long banking through NASCAR Turn 3. This is where one Pablo Montoya famously collided with a jet dryer all those years ago. And now through NASCAR Turn 4 and back onto the front straight again. Here is the battle for 16th place in class. This is a Porsche versus a Ferrari, and it is Chris Torman, it looks like, losing a place there to Humberto Rocca, who's trying to gain some of those places back after issues earlier on in the race.
It certainly is, and here's Schlegelmich versus Loschi Diolio. Diolio in the draft to the Ford, and then this is where the Ferrari's legs are really going to stretch. It's going to pull up alongside, and actually, Michael Schlegelmich able to benefit from the side draft here, and he's actually going to be able to pull back ahead of Loschi Diolio then in the Ferrari, and he's going to be nothing gained there. But look at this, Miguel Argudo is going to be trying to make up a move here on Travis Schwenke. He's not going to be able to get it done, though, and he's going to have to sit back in 6th for the time being.
I'm really hoping that this train will carry on after we have the mandatory pit stop. Back in the GTDs, this is a fight for 6th, 7th and 8th. We're riding on board here with the RSR esports car, Anthony Pisano, driving in the BMW Z4, trying to get past the Mercedes GT3 into the first corner. And here is another fight in that class. This is Tyler Guillemette in the F4H racing car. It's got a lot of damage to that front of the BMW, and you can see the disadvantage that he's got in a straight line as Bobby Childs in the D2D esports car in the BMW Z4, which isn't the most quickest car in a straight line. He's just able to pull away so easily when he's got no damage to that car.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows how much Guillemette is losing in the damage, and Schlegelmich had a little bit of a moment then. Heading through the bus stop chicane, you saw that car kind of step out a little bit on him, but he was able to keep it in a straight line. Here's a move here for Elvis Rankin. He's going to move up into 9th place after trying for so many laps now. But they've just got such a gap back to Robert Hartley, just ahead of them in 8th place. I just don't understand why they're even trying to battle at this point.
Yeah, there is plenty of time still to go. They can afford to take their time, I guess. We have got just under 45 minutes to go here in the opening round of the season. Season 2 of the Ricmotech GT Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. Adam Bath and Tyler Maxson with you for the night. And I hope you're enjoying what we've got on action for you so far. It's been a pretty eventful opening half hour or so, but here we are with Rob Hartley, sat in 8th place. Rob Hartley doing it in the BMW this season, teammates with Travis Schwenke, and so far so good for them. Schwenke right where he started in P5. Rob Hartley has only lost 1 place since the start of the evening, and the man from South Carolina, a veteran of this series of the best part of 4 years, defending ST Pro champion from season 15 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Oh, problem. Oh no, Michael Schlegelmich is off. We were just talking about him. This is his rookie season in the league, and he's off at what looks like NASCAR Turn 2. Here's a replay, Tyler. Talk us through it.
So let's see what happened to him here. Oh, he was just hit by the Porsche then of what looks like to be Humberto Roca. So let's ride on board then with the Porsche.
How odd that was. It looked like he was trying to put the power down with Schmegel, Mitch, and the Porsche just goes right into the back of him. I don't know whether that was just a case of Michael not being able to put the power down, but regardless, as you can see from the graphic at the bottom of your screen, the incident is under investigation.
Certainly is, and that is one of the wonderful things about this league is that they do have live race control watching over these drivers, so when they have incidents like that, it can be immediately investigated and immediately acted upon through race control, and it's so great to see that in this league. Another thing, too, is if you want live timing, be sure to head over to apexracingtv.com/live timing. That's apexracingtv.com/live timing, and you will see all the different live timing options that we have for you tonight, so you can keep up with your favorite driver, even if we're not keeping up with him here live on the broadcast.
Yeah, we will be doing a through the field segment at some point. I was going to give a case for once we have the pit stops out of the way. Then we can give you a full idea of the state of play in the field. Here is Bobby Childs versus Eric Violet, and also Lucas Ford in the Lucas racing car. Lucas Ford was part of the Sports Car Series in season 15, which was back in September of last year. Lives in Colorado, so a relatively local race. Joined iRacing in April 2017, and the incident has been reviewed between Schmegel Mitch and Car 11 Humberto Roca, and they have decided no further action is required. So Schmegel Mitch has carried on. He is in 17th place now. Humberto Roca is in P14 after all that is shaken out. Here is Jeff Jacobs in the StreetSurvival.org car.
So here is this battle up on your screen. This is for 5th place in class. Jim List at the head of this one, just 0.3 of a second ahead of Jeff Jacobs. Then it's Anthony Pisano just behind them in the RSR Esports BMW. He's the highest placing BMW in this opening round. He's up in 7th place. So far he has had a pretty decent showing here for that BMW. But back to the lead here in your GTLMs. It's currently being led by F4H Racing's Brandon Misler, with Dennis Slovak down in 2nd place. And he's losing a little bit of time to your current race leader. He's now at about 1.2 seconds behind.
Graphic up there saying the incident involving car 86 is under investigation. That would be... Oh, as I'm trying to cycle through to find out who 86 is. 86 is Greg Brockway in the eSport Racer car. Something involving him, anyway, has caught the steward's eye. And what we are starting to see is that the front three are starting to break away. This is a fight between Travis Fenke and Miguel Alcrudo. As here is Angel Ledesma and Travis Fenke going at it. Oh, and contact's made, and there's also a bit of secondary contact there too, as one of the Ferraris gets a bit of contact on the exit of the first corner. Here it is on the replay again, Tyler. Oh dear me.
He did get spun around quite quickly there, did Travis Schwenke. That also collected his teammate Robert Hartley as well, just there ahead of him. So the two X.iRacing cars. Let's watch that one more time. We're going to put it into slow motion here for you, just as we get down towards the incident. So if we play this down in slow motion here, you can see Travis Schwenke gets that little bit up on the inside grass, then just kind of has a little bit of a push here from what it looks like in the middle of the corner. He's just going to push straight into that Delta Racing car, spin himself around, and he's going to collect his teammate in the process.
I'll tell you what, Miguel Alcrudo was very lucky that he didn't get spun around by the BMW there, and Angel Ledesma, hopefully he hasn't picked up too much damage from that. He was really an innocent bystander, and it all just clipped a bit of the BMW on his way through. And you're right, Travis Schwenke nearly colliding with his teammate as well. So the two teammates are now in 6th and 7th. But what about the two F4H racing cars? Because they continue to lead. And I tell you what, he's playing with fire there with the lap traffic as he gets past. That is Greg Brockway in the eSport racing car. And Aeronom, he hasn't let these two get away. It is now a front three at the front of the GTLM class, with Ian Gagnon Renault leading, William Laster in 2nd, and then Aeronom in 3rd. It is a 1.4 second gap back to the next car, which is 4th place, Miguel Alcrudo in a Delta Motorsport car.
Certainly is indeed, and they really have started to pull away as this front group of 3. It's 2 Fords leading here at Daytona. This is, what a debut, can I just say that, for the Fords. I mean, they haven't had any sort of anything last year. No support in this series. Now this year, they come out in force, and they go and they're currently sitting 1-2 30 minutes into the race. We're nearly getting towards the halfway point here in just a few moments' time. And we should be seeing pit stops in about the next 10 to 15 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, this is when things are going to get really busy in this one. 75-minute race, and you're right, we are quickly approaching the halfway point in it. 35 plus 35 is 70, of course, so after not too long after that will be the halfway point of the race. Here is the fight then for between two Ferraris that we were looking at. This is a fight between two compatriots, Miguel Alcrudo and Angel Ledesma. Delta Motorsports versus Ledesma driving for, as he cycles through the day, so he's driving for the number 30 car, the number 82 car, I should say, and they're going wheel to wheel down the front straight. Right from Puerto Rico over the line. And the Ferrari's pretty quick in a straight line as well. They're reaching top speeds of 250 plus kilometers an hour by the time they get on the brakes. And here is Elvis Rankin in the Lil King racing car trying to get by David Payton, who's had a very good race so far. He's gained 6 places, one of the big movers in the field. Here is Mike Dam, who has dropped back a little bit after being up in the top 5 early on. I'm not sure what's happened to the Canadian, Tyler, but yeah, Mike Dam down in 11th place.
So I found a little bit of an incident here. Let's see what happened to Mike Dam as we cycle through a few different replays here until we can find the correct one. Here we go. Let's ride on board with the Canadian to see what happened. It's a very odd incident there for Mike Dam.
Yeah, not too sure what's befallen him there, but hopefully he can recover from that. There is still plenty of time for him to do so, but here are the two teammates then. We were talking about them at the beginning of the programme. They've moved to the BMW M8 to compete for the championship this season. Have Rob Hartley and Travis Schwenke. Last season, Schwenke finished in P7 in the title. He was driving a Porsche on that occasion. Rob Hartley was driving in a Porsche 2, but he finished 19th in the standings. Didn't do every single race meeting. In fact, he didn't do rounds 3, rounds 5, and ended up finishing, yeah, P19 in the standings. But they switched from the Porsche to the BMW this season, and they're hoping their fortunes will change. And they've had an okay start to the campaign so far. They're currently inside the top 10, despite the contact and the spin at the first corner, and they're currently on course to being the top BMWs in the field, and they'll take that as an accomplishment. But right now they're nowhere near these guys at the front. It's the 2 Fords and the 1 Ferrari, and they've got one of the GTLMs for company. One of the GTDs for company as well. That is Jeff Jacobs in the Street Survival .org car. He races in real life in SCCA autocross events, does Jeff Jacobs in the Street Survival .org car that's just behind them. And that's a great job that he's doing. That's 6 years in iRacing, league administrator. He switched to that GTD class for this season. But here is Aero Nom. And what is there to say about he? Because he is pretty much ripped up all the record books since he arrived in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series a couple of years ago. Went unbeaten in the Mustang. And now here he is in the GT Challenge, and he's trying to stop the stranglehold that is currently being held by F4H Racing. Once again, they do another position change across the line, and it is now William Gauguin Renault that leads, with William Laster now back down to P2.
Yes, it is indeed, but it's still an F4H Racing 1-2, which I think that's probably what's important to that team right now. But in my opinion, I think that we've seen Renault do this in the past in some of the other races last season. He's perfectly content with running down in second or third place. He's not one of the drivers who gets too anxious running down in third. He's really content with doing it. He doesn't really mind it. And he really is he's perfectly okay with it as long as he isn't running down in third when the checkered flag drops. But it's not very rare that we do see him not on the top step of the podium. I think it was only the GT Challenge in the last season of iRacing where he was defeated on the Ricmotech side. He went completely undefeated in the Mustangs, and like you said, he has had a stranglehold on these championships for the entirety since he has come into the league.
Yeah, I've seen him run third in races like this before the pit stops, and then by the time the pit stops are finished, he's back in the lead. So I'm sure the panic button hasn't been pressed just yet inside that Ferrari 488. And I wonder how long it will be before we start to see the pit stops. You are right, we have just literally crossed the halfway point in this one. It is a 75-minute race to start the campaign. William Laster looks like he's taken the lead back before we've even crossed the line. But what can Aero Nom close the gap down to? As you can see, it's 3 tenths. How close will he get over the line? He gets to within 2 tenths of the top two. And here is the fight for 8th and 9th between David Payton and Elvis Rankin. David Payton driving in the Ferrari, the Canadian. And here is Anthony Pisano driving in the RSR esports car. It's his rookie season in the league. He joined iRacing 2 years ago, lives in Illinois. He has raced shifter karts and Formula Continental in real life, but here he is in the BMW Z4, one of the new cars in the Ricmotech GT Challenge this season. Mr. Dependable, I would always nickname it as. It literally would, whenever I drove it, it literally never spun out unless I did something bad to it. And it's good to see that it lives on. It was one of the first GT cars that we got on iRacing back in 2014. It was just after I joined the service. The BMW Z4 arrived along with Donington Park when that arrived. I think that was even before team racing became a thing. And look how big that's become on iRacing in the last few years, Tyler.
Yeah, it's certainly something to keep an eye out on, or it's something that's really, really cool. And I think that everyone has used it at least some point, I would say, as we see Raymond Gonzalez into the pit lane. But I think that it's something that was taken and loved by the iRacing community was the team racing thing. And I think that you're completely right about the BMW, though. It really is probably one of the most reliable cars there is, as far as if you're new to the GT racing, it's a great car to pick up because, like you said, unless you do something terribly wrong, it doesn't spin.
Oh, yeah. Done a few. I foolishly thought, let's try and get in the Blancpain series. So I started the qualifiers for that in this car and didn't do too well. But yeah, you're right. It is a great car to drive. And I even did the Le Mans 24 Hours a couple of years ago in the Ferraris, when the Ferrari GTE car, when it arrived. That car wasn't too bad either for 24 hours. It was our fault that we brought so much damage to it. Here is Ryan Reeves in the Alpine Sim Sports car. He's one of the few GCLM cars that has come into the pits. Looks like it is one of the first cars to come in for a scheduled stop. As here are the top three again: William Laster, then Ian Gauguin Renault, and then Aero Nom in P3. I wonder if it's a case of who blinks first. I'm sure the F4H guys have got a strategy that they're adhering to. And I wonder if Aranon will follow them in or whether he will go for a few extra laps. I wonder if he's got something in reserve. He's been following these guys. He might even have been allowing himself to save a little bit of fuel because, of course, he's picking up the slipstream. He can lift and coast into some of these corners and not lose any time whatsoever. So he might come out of this in with the upper hand potentially because he hasn't had to run as hard as these two guys at the front of the field, Tyler.
No, he certainly hasn't. And I think that these guys will do yet another swap. Yes, they will. And with that, we will go to the first of our non-stop action here on the Ricmotech GT Challenge season opener live on Apex Racing TV. We'll be back in just a few minutes after the few short ad breaks from our league sponsors.
Welcome back to the Ricmotech GT Challenge. Today's broadcast has been brought to you, has been presented by Performer Texas Elite Graphics, and of course the sponsor, Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment. While we have been away, there have been some pit stops, and there are some more taking place, as Aeronom and Mike Dam have come into the pits. Two F4H cars have both been into the pits. Now it's a case of whether who is going to emerge first. Aeronom is leaving the pit box. Is he going to be ahead of the two F4H cars? It looks promising for the Team Bushwing Racing car, and he was third before the pit stops began. He is going to emerge in the lead, and it's something that Aeronom has done time and time again. And now F4H Racing have got to go back to the drawing board, Tyler Maxson, and try and work out how they're going to get back by.
Yeah, they certainly do then, and he didn't come out with a small lead. No, no, no. That is not Aeronom style. He came out with quite a massive lead, actually, sitting right now at about 1.3 seconds then. And you can see the flashing lights then from the F4H Racing cars. They're pretty much wondering how. How have we lost such a lead like this? And oh, we have one car off in the background, it looks like. I just saw someone spinning off towards turn number 1, and this may give us an answer to who that was.
Right, this is Low Ski DeLeo in the number 36 car going into turn 1. Let's see what happens here. Oh, massive wiggle there for the 36 car. The Delta Motorsports car finished 14th in season 1 of the GTC last season from Orlando. And now we've got another car coming into the pits. It looked like it's flying in there, that Mercedes. Hopefully Lucas Ford slowed down for that. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty. We'll probably find out by how long he stayed in the pit box for. But F4H Racing, Gagnon Renault, he was only in his pit box for 18.3 seconds. William Laster was in there for 18.7. Aeronom was only in there for a couple of tenths less. Only 0.3 of a second less than Aeronom, but that was enough to put the Ferrari out into the lead. Oh, car spun in front of him, and he's going to have to take some evasive action there. That is 61. That is Jim List in the D2D esports car. He's found a spot on the track where he can reverse and think about going. That's not at all. That's not at all nerve-wracking for anybody going through the first corner and seeing a sideways Mercedes parked in the middle of the track. Here's a replay.
Yeah, that's definitely not what you want to see, especially whenever you're someone like Ian Gagnon Renault and you're closing in on the race leader, and it's just a simple traction deal there for Jim List, and he almost reverses straight into the path of, I think that was Anthony Pisano then. And right here you could see all the leaders having to file their way around it. Top job though to all the drivers for not absolutely plowing into the side of that D2D esports car there of Jim List. They all survive it here early, but look at this. The leads come back down now. It's down to 0.6 of a second here for Ian Gagnon Renault. He's closing in quite quickly.
Yeah, just when you thought the 1.5 seconds was enough for Aeronom to try and consolidate his lead, the F4H cars have started to close in again. The gap is 0.75 of a second. I think in Aeronom's favour, he has got a car in front of him. That is Jeff Jacobs in the StreetSurvival.org car. That has now pulled into the pits, and he's going to have to carry on from there. Here is Mike Dam in 9th and Miguel Alcrudo in 8th. That is a change of position as the Porsche sweeps around the outside and is up into 8th place. It looks like there might be a bit of damage on the front of that Ferrari. Here is the fight for 4th then. It is Travis Schwenke, who has had a pretty good pit stop window. He is 4th. He's got Angel Ledesma right behind him in 5th, who has also had a good race so far. 6 places gained. Elvis Rankin behind. He has also gained 6 spots. It is as you were in the GTD class. You can see the top 2 on the timing tower on the left-hand side. Brendan Missler continues to lead there. And then it's Denis Savratek in 4th. In the band of others racing. And everybody has pretty much come into the pits. The last car to come in that is still running is Bobby Childs, who's just come into the pits now. So with 52 minutes in the books, And at the risk of the lead battle getting ever closer, we'll do the through the field for you now for the drivers' positions and how they've progressed. Starting with our race leader, Aeronom. He started on pole, went down to 3rd place, and now is back in the race lead with just over a quarter of an hour to go here. He's had a fantastic pit stop window. In 2nd place, Ian Gagnon Renault in the F4H Racing. He's had, if you look at the lap charts, he's been 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and then 2nd and 1st again as he and his teammate keep changing positions. But right now he's sat in the runners-up spot. There's his teammate, William Laster, in 3rd. He was leading before the pit stop phase began, and now he's in 3rd place. Travis Schwenke, new team for the BMW driver this season. New car, and he is currently up in 4th. And completing the top 5 is this guy, Angel Ledesma. 6 places gained. The pit stop windows have done well for the Ferrari, and also he managed to survive without too much contact when he collided with Schwenke earlier on. Here is Elvis Rankin. The youngster is in 6th place, has gained 6 spots as well in the Ferrari. And then a little bit further down the road, 2.9 seconds behind, is Rob Hartley here in the Excite Energy Asbury Motorsports car. He's Travis Schwenke's teammate. They were both driving Porsches last season. Here's Mike Dam. He's on the comeback trail, really, after losing a few positions early on. We were not too sure how on earth that happened, but the 93 car is now in 8th, only 4 places away from where he started. 9th is Miguel Alcrudo, 4 places gained for the Delta Motorsport Ferrari driver from Puerto Rico. And completing the top 10 is Nathan Manning. The American has gained 5 spots in the Ford. The Graphite Racing driver hasn't done too bad at all here. 11th for Brian Cartier in the Phoenix Racing 63. Has lost 1 place since the start. 21.85 seconds stop for him in the pit lane. Ryan Reeves in the Alpine Sim Sport number 92. It is his rookie season in this series. He lives in New York. He's been on iRacing for the past 5 years. Michael Schmegelmitch, who got hits in this very spot of the circuit earlier on by one of the Porsches. The race organisers deemed it the racing incident. Since then, though, he hasn't looked back. He's gained 3 spots from where he started. Here is Geordie Fike, another driver that we saw facing the wrong way earlier. He is 5 places up from where he started in the Phoenix Racing car and are doing okay now. Lowski DeLeo, he was in strife earlier, but the number 36 car has carried on as well and has also gained 5 spots. And then here's Russ Ruddock in 16th. Flying Tortoise Motorsports car started towards the back of the GTLM class, but now he is up in 16th place overall, 6 places gained where he started. Here's the rest of the class. Humberto Roca in 17th. Not the best of starts to the season for him. He's lost 13 places since the start of the race. And here is Shad Koren in the Donkey Bop Racing number 40. Just trying to find out some stats view on him, actually. Cool team name. Returning member to the league after being away for about 2 years. 10 years on iRacing. Lives in Colorado. Here's this guy. This is Marco Calabi in the Delta Motorsports car. 5 places gained. And the car 202 doing okay there. Here is Derek Holland. We've even got a picture of Derek. He's in 20th place in class in the Indy Autosports car. 2 places gained. Very quick pit stop as well, 19.5 seconds. That's one of the quicker ones we've seen today. Donkey Bops Racing's Darren Clement in 21st place. 17 spots gained from him. As I think we had a graphic up there saying someone was under investigation. Didn't see which numbers it was. I think we've got a replay here, Tyler.
Yeah, we had an incident there for William Laster, an unsafe rejoin. There's been a large gaps here at the front, and he's spun out then. Has William Laster, and he's going to come on the track right in front of that Mercedes. So he's gotten an unsafe entry warning, but that is crucial for him because he's lost 7 seconds to his teammate Ian Gagnon Renault, who is now currently 1.9 seconds behind Aeronom. So the cards are falling in Aeronom's favor quite quickly here.
Well, as they always seem to do. Wow. Well, that was Jeff Jacobs that he rejoined in front of William Laster there. And he has got a warning for that, but yeah, you're right. He's now 7 seconds away from the race leader Aeronom. Before we started the whole through the field, he was less than a second ahead, maybe about half a second ahead of the next F4H racing car. Now he's 1.9 seconds ahead. He's stretched his legs, as he always tends to do. He was undefeated in the Mustang, now he's in the Ferrari. And just when it looked like the Ford were going to start the season in the best possible way, it looks like the Aeronomas ripped that script up, and it's going to be Ferrari that's back on the top step of the podium. There is still just over 15 minutes to go to change that, and there's always drama in this series. That could still happen. Here is Raymond Rodriguez then, as we continue on with our run through the field. 10 spots gained for the Delta Motorsports driver. He is up in P29 overall, 22nd in class. After that, you're looking at Jose Cabrera in the Racing for Mental Health number 4 car. And then Rafael Sosa in the 50 BMW. And then you're looking at Kevin Ford here. Poor Kevin. He was around earlier. Now I think he's just cruising around as a back marker. He's been into the pits twice. And then the cars that haven't featured for a while, Al Crudo in the Delta Motorsports car, Lyndon McMurphy, and Kevin Bin in the RSR Esports car. So time to move on to the GTDs. Here is Brendan Missler in the F4H racing car. While his while his stablemates in the GTLM class haven't been able to keep the lead, he very much has been able to, and he's got a healthy lead over this guy, Denis Savratek in the Band of Others racing car, sat in second. He is 4 seconds away, I think, from Brendan now, so he has got his work cut out to get up to there. Brandon Whitworth is in third place in class, so he's on for a little bit of the bubbly as things stand in that class. 13 places gained as well for Brandon. Of course, he has benefited from a few retirements in the GTLM class, but is still doing well nonetheless, as he puts a lap there on Greg Brockway in the eSport Racer car. After that, it is Caleb John Lavender in the Team 9 car. Caleb has gained 9 spots, 2 places gained in class. The number 65 Audi, one of the few Audis in the field, in fact. I think we've only got 2 today. Here's Anthony Pisano in the RSR Esports car, BMW Z4. The BMW Z4 making its debut in this series, replacing the Ferrari in that class. And Pisano doing not too bad there. Jeff Jacobs, we saw him having to take evasive action due to the rejoin of William Laster from earlier on. He's still carrying on nonetheless in the StreetSurvival.org car. Looking here at Kevin Burrows, who is the next car in the Overtake Racing team. 8 places gained, he's in 7th in class. Then it's Eric Violet in the D2D Esports car. There is the purple Merc going into the first corner, number 89. And then after that, it is Lucas Ford in the Lucas Racing car, who is 9th in class. Tyler Guillemette in the F4H Racing car is in 10th place in class. There he is. Joined iRacing in November 2018, but has become a dedicated road racer, running many series. It's his 2nd season in the Ricmotech GT Challenge. Here is Greg Brockway, and we've even got a picture of him as well in the eSport Racer car. And then behind him is Bobby Childs in the D2D Esports. 8 years on iRacing, from Alabama, ran the GTLM Ferrari last season, but has switched to the Merc in the GTDs. There's John Ford in the Graphite Racing number 96 Audi, the only other Audi to be racing in the field today, aside from Caleb John Lavender. And then we've got the cars that are out of the race in the GTDs. It is like an issue there for John Ford. Jim List, Greg Mack, Esteban Rodriguez, Chad Parker and Tyler Shiflett, and a Motorsports car. So that pretty much brings you through the field, as we have just got over 10 minutes to go, Tyler, as I can now take a sip of a drink.
Yeah, we got just about 10 minutes to go here in the opening round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge. We're currently looking at this battle here. This is between Elvis Rankin, Mike Dam, Robert Hartley, all battling here for 6th place. Now, while Mike Dam may not be an immediate position to take the position away from Elvis Rankin, he is certainly getting a lot an attack from Robert Hartley just behind him in the Exide Energy Ashbury Motorsports car then for is Robert Hartley here. He hasn't had the greatest debut, has he, here, in comparison to his teammate, who currently sits up in 4th position. Just about 1 second behind, or just about 2 seconds, behind of William Laster in that F4H racing car. We saw him have that incident earlier on. And right here is the man who is chasing down your current race leader, Aeronom, and your defending champion. And like you had said earlier, Adam, whenever we thought that just maybe someone could come here and knock this man off the top step of the podium, he was quick to prove us wrong, wasn't he? He has gotten the strategy absolutely perfect, and he's pulled out an insane gap here after Williams Laster's unfortunate spin.
Yeah, write him off at your peril, Aeronom, in the Bushwink racing car, the man from Estonia. 7 years on iRacing. He's been a league member since 2017 and undefeated as Mustang class champion in the sports car series, and now he's turning his hand to the GT Challenge, and as things stand, it looks like he's on course to pick up the race victory and pick up the maximum points as well. I doubt he's picked up too many incident points, and he'll probably pick up another bonus point for steering clear of 6 incidents or less, as we have just over 10 minutes to go. But it looks like Rob Hartley is gradually growing into this BMW. He will have been practicing before this race meeting, but it looks like he's improving as the race comes along here. And Mike Dam is trying to get back some of the lost positions. Before we started the Through the Field, or when we came to him in the Through the Field, he'd lost 4 places from where he started. Since then, he's managed to gain one of them back, and he's trying to gain another by getting past Elvis Rankin, who hasn't been dealt the best hands when it comes to traffic, it looks like, Tyler. He's managed to meet all of the GTD traffic in the middle of the infield, and now Mike Dam isn't too far away from the back of the Ferrari here.
No, he certainly is, and Elvis Rankin hasn't had the best infield section. And Mike Dam and Robert Hartley, they could move up several positions here towards the ending portion of this race, because Angel Ledesma is not far ahead either of Elvis Rankin, nearly just a second up the road. So they're almost in the same camera shot now. Here are these 4 drivers. So the battle for 6 may become the battle for 5th here in a few more moments' time. But right now, this is the battle we have on hand. Side by side, Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. And look at Robert Hartley, nearly makes it 3 wide there, but he's just going to stick him behind.
Yeah, not often you say 3 wide in the Ricmotech GT Challenge, I'm sure. And yeah, if Robert Hartley made that 3 wide through the tri-oval, that would have certainly made things interesting getting on the brakes into the first corner. But that is Mike Dam up into 6th place. Only 2 positions now to gain for him to be back where he started. And the man from Puerto Rico, Angel Ledesma, isn't too far away at all, is he? Number 82. Going through towards the International Horseshoe, riding on board with him now as he gets on the brakes. Turns it in. It is his rookie season in the league. Joined iRacing back in April 2014. Similar time to when I joined it, in fact. So we're on good terms there, as Mike Dam is really siving into this advantage that Ledesma has. It's now down to 0.3 of a second, and we could see a repeat of what we saw at the end of the previous lap here, Tyler. Mike Dam getting by through turn 3 and turn 4. You might even fancy his chances going into the bus stop. Is he going to try? Oh, he just lifts out of it, but I think we both know what he's going to try and do going through the tri-oval into turn 1.
Yeah, I think that it's not rocket science to know what he's going to do here, but he's also got to think he's got Elvis Rankin behind him and Robert Hartley behind him as well. So he can't make too much of a risk here down into turn number 1 if he doesn't want to possibly lose a position. But they're going to go 3 wide now with GTD traffic. They're going to clear him, and Mike Dam's going to try the outside one more time. Will Ledesma let him have it, or will he fight him down into the corner? The answer is he's going to fight him here, and that's going to cause Mike Dam to have to slot back in line. And thankfully for Mike Dam, he doesn't lose a position to Elvis Rankin.
Yeah, Ledesma would have really enjoyed that, because he had Anthony Pisano in the RSR Esports car acting as a little bit of a slipstream for him, and that proved to be just enough to keep Mike Dam at bay there. But looking from what's in front of us, there isn't any lapsed traffic to help Ledesma this time, so he's going to have to rely on getting a decent run out of the final part of the infield, which we're coming up to now, if he wants to keep Mike Dam at bay. I think Mike Dam wants to get a hurry on, because if he can get by the Ferrari now, that gives him a good couple of laps to maybe try and catch Travis Schwenke and then get back up to that 4th place, which is where he started. But time is running out if he wants to get back up to that position. Rob Hartley isn't too far away from catching Elvis Rankin either. You can just see him. He's now entered the battle graphic as well on the bottom right hand side of your screen. Here comes Mike Dam. This time it's into the bus stop chicane, and he brakes slightly later than the Puerto Rican, and Mike Dam is through into 5th position with just over 5 minutes to go. And Rankin, he fancies his chances of getting by Ledesma too.
Yeah, Elvis Rankin, as we ride on the roof cam with him, he's going to go for the side draft here on Ledesma. They're going to go down the straightaway now. Look at them catching up to Mike Dam. That just shows the horsepower advantage that Ferrari has. Down and towards turn number 1, they're still going to stay side by side, and Ledesma may just have it here. Robert Hartley nearly misses the corner behind in the BMW, but Ledesma holds on to 6th.
Oh, this is turning into a fantastic scrap, isn't it, in the closing stages? Up the inside is Elvis Rankin. Oh! Now, did he hit him? I'm not too sure, but through he goes. And through also goes Robert Hartley as well, so Ledesma could be about to lose 2 positions. I think I'll have to look at a replay again in a moment to see whether he did get a little bit of a touch from Elvis Rankin. But up the inside goes Hartley into the 2nd of the horseshoes. Is there going to be contact? A wide berth is given by Angel Ledesma. And I think Rob Hartley's just about going to get it done as they get... Oh! A lock of the brakes, and off goes Angel Ledesma. Well, he's definitely down to 8th place now. He might even lose a few positions as a result of it. But here's a replay of going into the horseshoe and through turn 1 as well. So we're going to have a look at that back now. And the big question is, did Elvis Rankin just clip Ledesma going into the hairpin? We'll find out in a second when we see it on this replay, Tyler.
I think that was just the same case we saw heading on to the back straightaway, where Ledesma just kind of went in a little bit too deep, locked up the rear tires, and spun it round. But we'll see it here from this forward camera shot.
Oh,
and
yeah, just lock the brakes.
Just lock the brakes up.
Now, it's not mandatory, I don't think, to change tyres in this series. It's, of course, they limit the fuel, so you've got to put fuel in to get to the end. Wonder if tyres are crying enough on that Ferrari of Angel Ledesma. Here is Elvis Rankin, the youngster, driving in the Lil King Racing 54. He's trying to get a spot inside the top 5. It's currently Mike Dam that holds it. I don't think Mike Dam is going to be able to catch Travis Schwenke in the remaining 4 minutes of the race. So what he's got to cling on to is a top 5 in the opening race of the season here. But Elvis Rankin wants it, so too does Brendan Hartley. He wants to join his teammate Travis Schwenke inside the top 5. And the Ferrari is probably the quickest car out of this trio here. So Elvis Rankin has got a slipstream as well, because he's got a Porsche in front. So you could expect, if he gets a decent run either onto the back straight or on the exit of the bus stop chicane, he might fancy his chances of nicking that top 5 off Mike Dam in the closing stages here. But come this far, Dam will be putting up a resolute defence to make sure that he can hold on to that top 5 here in the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, he certainly will, won't he? And with just under 5 minutes left to go, it's going to be an all-out fight for them, as we're just going to quickly check back in on your race leader. Aeronom, he's out and just cruising away from the rest of the field. He's currently got a 2-second advantage over Ian Gagon Renault, and there's really no one else in sight here for him. He has absolutely dominated this field here today. No one has been able to challenge him since the pit stop phases. The F4H Racing guys, they were able to get in front of him early on, but then once that pit stop comes around and he can get to doing what he does best, is the strategy. Aeronom is a strategy genius when it comes to these kind of races, and once again, he pulls off a magnificent strategy as we see Elvis Rankin and Robert Hartley side by side into one.
Yeah, we were able to talk to Aeronom after the race. I'd love to know about whether, when he was sticking back in 3rd place, whether he was able to save enough fuel, which meant that when he came into the pits, he didn't have to stay in the box for too long, and that might have helped him gain an advantage at all. But Elvis Rankin, I was saying there that he had a great chance to get by Mike Dam. Instead, he was having to fend off the advances of Rob Hartley there, and he nearly lost that 6th position. But here they come again. They've got one of the few Audis in the field just in front of them. That is Caleb John Lavender in the Team 9 car that is just in front of them. Not really much change in the GTD class since the pit stops have taken place. Brendan Mitzler remains the leader by 7 seconds, I think, over Dennis Savratek. Disappearance there for Elvis Rankin, I think, as Mike Dam now tries to put the lap on the Audi. I wonder if this might allow wee Elvis to close in a little bit. Not if he gets boxed in by the Audi. This is going to make things a little interesting going through the bus stop chicane. Elvis saying, please, man, get out of the way. Look how much time he's lost, Tyler.
Yeah, you could just see him. He was flashing the headlights all the way into the corner, and that Audi did not care. He shut the door then on Elvis Rankin, and this is going to open up the opportunity here for Robert Hartley. They're going to go 3 wide momentarily, but then it's side by side for 6th place in this race. Robert Hartley and Elvis Rankin down and towards turn number 1. Rankin on the inside, Hartley on the outside. Hartley's not going to be able to make anything of it.
Yeah, the checker flag came out that time. It would have been Hartley that would have been awarded the 6th place. But Elvis Rankin was solid on the brakes going into turn 1. And he was able to keep that position. And that's the sports car driver in the World Endurance Championship. Rob Hartley is going to have to stay in that 7th place for now. But we have got just 15 seconds to go. And where is Aeronom on the circuit? Here he is. He's just coming off NASCAR turn 4, that looks like. No, it's the back straight. He's coming into that's NASCAR turn 2. He's just coming off now into the bus stop chicane for the final time. Well, he started on the pole. He dropped down to 3rd, but that didn't matter. He came into the pits after everybody else did, and he emerged with the race lead. And after a little bit of a comeback from F4H, they had one mistake at the first corner, and Aeronom hasn't looked back from there, has he? The checker flag is getting prepared. It's now going to be waving for the Team Bushfink Racing driver, and round 1 of Season 2 at the Ricmotech GT Challenge goes to Aeronom. He gets his season off to the best possible start. Ian Gagnon Renault is going to finish in 2nd with William Laster completing the podium. But look at this drag race, Tyler, for 6th place.
Yeah, we're going to watch this on the chopper cam. Hartley's just going to be able to edge out Elvis Rankin then in the end for 6th place here today. What a battle. And then look at this battle here. This is all the way up to 8th here between Angel Ledesma, Miguel Arguedo, and Nathan Manning. They're all in the mix, and even Brian Cartier and Manning in the mix as well. They're side by side, and it was Ledesma, Arguedo, Manning, and Cartier. That's your running between 8th through 11th. Now let's jump back here to your GTD 1. Currently, your first 2 drivers in GTD as your leader heads through the final bus stop chicane for the final time in this race. He'll come through NASCAR 3 and 4. It'll come around to take a very dominant win here in the GTD class. We'll actually just quickly jump back here because Humberto Roca has just gone by Russ Ruddick here. Ruddick coming back on the inside. Nothing made of it, though. But what a dominant performance here for Brandon Misler and for F4H Racing in the GTD class. 8 seconds then they had over Dennis Sarek.
Yeah, here he comes across the line. The Band of Others racing car is going to finish in P2. Merton Mitzler having a fantastic start to the season for F4H Racing. He was in a class of 1 after the pit stops. The podium in GTD is going to be rounded out by Brandon Whitworth, who comes home in 3rd in the D2D esports car. There was somebody that got quarter paneled across the line in the tri-oval when we were looking at the fight for 10th or 11th in the GT. In the GTLMs there, but everybody has now crossed the line, and we can bring you the finishing order from the opening round of the season in the Ricmotech GT Challenge here at Daytona International Speedway. Post-race interviews to come as well, as the fireworks will be getting let off somewhere around here. It is Aeronom, though, that wins the race. Ian Gagnon Renault finishing in second, William Laster completing the podium in third. Travis Fenke in his first race for BMW finishes in fourth. Mike Dam in the Porsche in fifth. Then Travis Fenke's teammates, Rob Hartley completing the top six. Then Elvis Rankin in seventh, Angel Ledesma in eighth, ninth for Miguel Alcrudo, and 10th for Nathan Manning. 11th for Brian Cartier, 12th for Michael Schlegelmich in his first race of the series, and Jordy Fike in 13th. Lowski DeLeo in 14th, and 15th for Ryan Reeves, 16th for Humberto Roca, 17th for Russ Ruddock. We saw the drag race between those two to the line. And there he is in 18th place overall, our GTD class winner, that is Brendan Mitzler. Second in class, Dennis Savratic, the Band of Others racing car, finishing in 19th place overall. 20th overall, 18th in class, the GTLM car of Shad Curran. And then the third GTD, that is Brandon Whitworth. 22nd overall, Marco Calabi. Then the fourth highest GTD, it is Caleb John Lavender. Derek Holland in the Indy Autosport car in 24th place overall. Then it's Anthony Pisano, 25th overall. Then Jeff Jacobs in the StreetSurvival.org 38 car, driving a Merc today. Then it's Raymond Rodriguez in the Delta Motorsport GTLM. 7th in the GTDs was Kevin Burruggs. He finished in 28th place overall. 29th for Lucas Ford and 30th for Eric Violet. 31st is Tyler Guillemet, and then Darren Clement in the 32nd place. Greg Brockway, 33rd, Bobby Charles, 34th, and John Ford, all GTDs, finishing in 35th. And then we get into the cars that had issues during the race. Jose Cabrera, Racing for Mental Health, number 4, finishing in 36th place overall, 23rd in class. 37th for Rafael Sosa, David Payton there in 38th place. Jim List having issues in 39th, and Greg Mack in 40th. Chris Torment, 41st. Kevin Ford, poor Kevin, he finished in 42nd. Miguel Alcrudo in 43rd. Then it's Chad Parker. And then Tyler Schiffler, 46th. And then Lyndon McMurphy. And then Caden Bin finishing in 48th place. That is how they all finished in the first race of the day, with round 2 taking place this time next month. On the 3rd of Feb is the next race meeting in this series on Apex Racing TV. That will be at the Suzuka GP circuit. Looking forward to that one as well.
And as we just work our way over towards interviews here, we have a few drivers getting ready to speak with us today. Let's hear from your overall race leader, Aeronom.
Well, Aero, congratulations on the race win. The perfect start to the season for you, with a win here at Daytona International Speedway. That must be the best possible way for you to start the season.
Oh yeah, thank you. It was really nerve-wracking in the front in the beginning, because I think the Ferrari was very slow, and those forces were damn quick. Yeah, it was really difficult.
Talk us through the first part of the race, because you started on the pole, but then the two Fords got by, and they kind of dictated the pace at the front of the field, really. You just stayed in third. Were you saving a bit of fuel when you were in P3? You were able to lift off a little bit because you had the slipstream in front, of course.
Yeah, pretty much that was the plan. But like I said, the Ford was so quick, so I did save a little bit of fuel. But yeah, it was really difficult. I had to go full throttle almost all the straight and save fuel in the end. So yeah, that was my plan, because yeah.
What happened after the pit stops, though? Because after that, you just took off in the Ferrari.
Well, before the pit stop, I was very quick. I knew I can be much faster than them, just in the straight. So after the pit stop, yeah, I took a little bit too little fuel. I was like 1 liter short, so then wasn't that easy. Maybe how it looked, because I had to save fuel. And again, when you save fuel, it's much easier to make mistakes.
Did you have an idea of how much fuel they had? Were you expecting them to come in before you were?
Yeah, pretty much, because they were going full out, I think. They didn't save as much. Yeah, it was me and Mike Tam, I think, who went one lap further.
Next week, then, from the high banks of Daytona, not next week, I should say. The next time this series is in action, which I think is in February, will be at Suzuka. What's your opinion of that track? Do you reckon you'll be able to go well in the Ferrari around there?
Yeah, no expectations. I've never driven Ferrari there, so it will be a little difficult, maybe a slippery track. But yeah, it will be again long straights, but there is a very thick in the middle. So let's see how the Ferrari does there.
Great. Well done on the win today. Before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank all the drivers. Today it was a very clean race again, no issues. Like always, I want to thank the league admins, the sponsors, and you guys in the booth there.
Great. Well done on the win today. It was brilliant to watch, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to speak to you again in a couple of weeks' time at Suzuka.
Thanks, guys.
Great to hear from Aaron. As always, we'll move on to the next interview. Tyler, I think we have got the GTD winner here, Brandon Mitzler.
Brandon, what a race from you. You had an absolutely dominant victory there, 8.5 seconds in the end, and that's quite a debut for you here in the Mercedes. You ran the Audi, obviously, last season. Making the move over to the Mercedes, it's not a bad way to start off your season.
No, it's not. It wasn't easy, but it was a good race.
Yeah, you had an absolutely dominant combination. We saw your teammates in the GTLM have their fair share of good and bad luck. What was your guys' plan as a team kind of coming into the race, or did you not really even have one?
We didn't really have a large plan. We all hoped to get to the front and kind of run as a pack, but as soon as the green flag is thrown, that all kind of goes out the window, and we just all do what we can to keep up and maintain.
Well, you certainly did a little bit more than keeping up and maintaining today. That 8.5 second lead. Do you think that there was a little bit of strategy to be played in this race, or was it really just mainly down to pace that won you this one?
It's a mixed bag of both. There definitely is some strategy that you can run to improve, but you also need the pace in order for those strategies to work. So I think you have to have both in order to do well at Daytona.
We certainly did well here today. Dennis was able to stay with you for a little bit at the beginning of the race, but then it was pretty much just you starting to pull away. Was that just down to you being able to manage the tires better, or do you think that you just had a little bit better setup than him towards the latter end of the runs?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't know what was going on in his car. He was doing a fantastic job running. It wasn't easy to stay behind him or stay in front of him. I just saw an opportunity. I knew there's a little bit of traffic coming up and just rolled the dice on my luck to see if I could get a little gap with the traffic. So it ended up working out.
Well, you certainly did that here today. And you start off your season with a bang. Who gets it done for you in that F4H racing team?
You said it, the F4H guys, the ones on the track and the ones behind the scenes. They help out a lot, and it's good to have them on.
Well, congratulations once again on second place here on the win, in the GTD class in the opening round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge.
Thanks, I appreciate it, guys.
Great to hear there from our GTD winner, Brendan Mitzler. Looks like our final interview of the day is going to come from the man who finished in second. It is Ian Gagnon Renault. Hopefully, I've pronounced that right. He joins us in the interview room now. F4H racing driver, and Ian, talk us through that one. You two, you and your teammate William, you started off at the front, and then after the pit stops, it was Aero Nom at the front.
Yeah, we know that Aero is kind of the fastest driver here, so we had to take him on, both of us to have maybe a chance of winning this race. But he saved a lot of fuel behind us, and we thought we'd save enough fuel by changing the lead, but didn't happen. So he won that one, but I'm pretty pleased with second place and third place also. We didn't know if the Ford was going to be competitive enough in this race, so we're pretty happy about it.
Yeah, so it looks like from just after round one, the Ford looks like it's going to be pretty competitive this season against the likes of Ferrari and BMW.
Yeah, I think we got our tracks. That's going to be good. And the Ferraris also got their track, so we got to capitalize on the track that we're good at to get the most points out of and win the championship.
And while it lasted as well, you and your teammate were able to get a few bonus points out of that as well for leading quite a few laps.
Yeah. We got us both our leading points. I got my points for not getting too much incident points, and maybe Hero as well. So I'm gonna check on that, and I don't think we're too much apart in the championship.
And there was a moment just shortly after the pit stops where your teammate had a little moment, and did you nearly get caught up in that?
Yeah, I almost get caught up in that. I was trying to like some kind of team orders to maybe was gonna catch him and we could take him, but yeah, he took too much speed in that corner and slipped. But I got pretty lucky and avoided him. And yeah, from there I tried to get the gap down to Hero, but wasn't able to.
And in a couple of weeks' time, we go to Suzuka. Is that a track that you reckon will suit the Ford? Not too many straights on that one, so the Ferrari will probably be a bit of a disadvantage there.
I think it's gonna be down to the drivers because I don't think that's my fastest track for me. So I'm gonna have to practice a lot to get to the standard of Hero now.
Well done on the second place today. Before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Brendan who won in GTD, and also to William to the time we took to get that setup running, and also the guy that's for F4H, the guy that ran the series, Ricmotech, and yeah, you guys for the broadcast. So
No problem. It was great to watch you guys out at the front while it lasted. Well, Ian, thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us, and hopefully we'll speak to you again next time out at Suzuka in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I wish. I see you guys.
Right then, Tyler, final thoughts from you before we sign off from here at Daytona after round one.
I can't wait until next week. This is going to be an action-packed championship. I mean, we saw, even at the front in your GTLM field, last season was pretty much dominated by Aeronam. This season, he's got some competitors in the form of the F4H Racing in their Ford GTs. So I really think that this is going to be a really good season in your GTLM field. And I also think in your GTD field, if Brandon Misler can keep up what he has this week, then it's going to be very tough to beat him in the end in the championships. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season very much.
Yeah, so am I. And even though I might not be commentating on many of the races this season, filling in for someone today, I will follow this season with intrigue because Ford really did look like they could take it to Aeronom for a good majority of this first race. Well, Suzuka, which is round 2, is on the 3rd of February. It's another 75-minute race, and you will be able to catch it all here on Apex Racing TV. But that is about it from here at Daytona International Speedway today, and a fantastic start to the campaign for Aeronom. Will he be stopped at round 2 when we head to the land of the rising sun? That is Japan. There's only one way to find out, and that is tune in here the same time in a couple of weeks here on Apex Racing TV. So my thanks to Tyler for joining me in the commentary box and for doing all the cameras as well here today. And for myself, Adam Bath, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. So from all of us here at the Daytona International Raceway, good night.